Hi everyone, this video is a book review on the children's book Let the Children March by Monica Clark Robinson and illustrated by Frank Morrison. This book is the first book of my 4-day book tribute to count down to Martin Luther King Jr. Day 2019. So each day I will be reviewing a children's book either about Martin Luther King Jr. or related to the civil rights movement until we reach Martin Luther King Day. At the end of this video, there's going to be a slideshow, and in this slideshow there will be video footage of children from the civil rights movement protesting on both sides. There will also be photographs of Black children throughout history fighting racism and segregation and resisting to get their human rights. So that is what you have in store for you at the end of this video. I decided to get all fancy and get dressed for the occasion, and I got my Martin Luther King button because I marched almost every single year until high school. I have a bunch of Martin Luther King buttons. My mother also made this Martin Luther King fan, so I'm gonna sit him in the background in honor of him so he can watch over us. And now we will get into the book review. To start off, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the author and the illustrator. So about the author, Monica Clark Robinson. It says, Monica Clark Robinson is passionate about stories, writing them, acting them out on stage, and reading them both as a voiceover artist and an avid reader. She believes that the stories of our past can help us create the story of our future. This is Monica's debut picture book, bringing to light a part of history that can empower children to make a difference. Monica lives in a yurt in the country with her husband, too many cats, and just the right amount of daughters. And she has a website. The one in the book I think may be outdated, but when I visited her website, there's a young white lady with, I guess, kind of grayish thick hair, and she had photographs of her in different plays. So I thought that was really cool that when an author does more than just write. And plus it says she did voiceover acting, so that was pretty neat. But for her debut book, this was very powerful. I'm very impressed, especially with the illustrator she chose. Perfect illustrator. Now we will go into Frank Morrison. It wasn't until Frank Morrison visited a museum in Paris with his dancing group that he realized painting was his true creative path. His talent and hard work paid off with more than 20 illustrated children's books, including the Coretta Scott King / John Steptoe Award for New Talent winner Jazzy Ms. Mozetta, and the Coretta Scott King Illustrator Honor Book, Little Melba and Her Big Trombone. Frank lives in Georgia with his family, and his website is morrisongraphics.com. Now, what's interesting about Frank Morrison is that it says he did graffiti art, but he also did breakdancing. I was like, look at these creative people, just breakdancing, voiceovers, like they literally do everything. He also won the John Steptoe Award, and I love John Steptoe. If you've never read anything by him, at least read Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. And I think his child, Javaka, I don't know, is an author. So John Steptoe's offspring has a book called Do You Know What I'll Do? So go check it out. Frank Morrison has a calendar, and this is for 2019. So if you're interested in buying one, you can, I guess, go to his website. But yeah, this is amazing. Now we will get into the book review. So this book is basically about the Children's Crusade in 1963 of May. It says Dr. Martin Luther King went to Alabama, and he went there to go rally up people to fight for their civil rights. But the adults were worried that if they did this act, that they would lose their job, which was basically the security for their family. As a result, Dr. King decided to use a new method, and that was the children. Okay, so this is what he wrote. Dr. King later wrote, looking back, it is clear that the introduction of Birmingham's children into the campaign was one of the wisest moves we made. It brought a new impact to the crusade and the impetus that we needed to win the struggle. And as a result, that worked, because the following year it says that the Civil Rights Act was passed, and he also won the Nobel Peace Prize. I love how at the beginning of the book, like, it has all of these children in a line, and it's showing, it's a timeline of all of the things that occurred. And it doesn't just stop at the front, it also goes to the back. I'm gonna move this way. Also goes to the back. This is amazing. So yeah, I'm like, I love the expressiveness that Frank Morrison uses when he's painting the picture of the parents and the pain and the suffering they're going through. Like this illustration. You see this mother? She says, if I march, Mama said, I'll lose my job, sure enough. I can't march, Daddy said. I got a family to feed. Just imagine how our ancestors, they wanted their children to be free, yet at the same time, they couldn't march for their children's freedom because they were afraid they were going to lose their job. But that was one side. Unless you had like the Black Power movement where they're like, you know what, forget your job. I don't care. I'm not going to work for you, and I don't want your money either. This is on one side. So, as a result, the children were used. You know why the children were used? Because they had nothing to lose. The children didn't have to answer to any boss. The children didn't have to worry about paying any bills or anything like that. So, they also had the passion that was needed for the Civil Rights Movement. I would call the Civil Rights Movement a very young movement because the young people had that fire to keep it going. Sometimes when we as adults are fighting against something for so long, we just get burned out and we start to lose hope. We start to lose faith. Whereas children, they naturally have this ability to just never give up on things. They just keep going. That's why on this page it says, let the children march, they will lead the way. I'm like, dang, I love that. That's my favorite page, right? That's my favorite page. But these children went through so many things, yet they never gave up. The things that would put fear in an adult, the things that would make an adult back out, the children face head on. You know, they faced it. And getting sprayed with hoses and getting dogs just thrown at them and stuff, being put in jail. I swear. And look, another thing, this illustration, it's a very telling illustration. You see this? This reminds me of those photographs that I look at from, you know, the 50s, 60s of Black children trying to integrate schools, and there would be people out there just yelling and yelling and yelling at them. Number one, that's just rude, just to yell at somebody for going to get an education. Number two, that's just ridiculous, because why would you take time out of your day, grown woman, grown man, to yell at a little child? That just makes you look ridiculous. So you have these two aspects going on. You have an adult making themselves look ridiculous, not letting a child have their rights and be a child. And on the other hand, an adult being an abuser. You're supposed to protect a child. You're sending all of these animals to physically harm this child and spraying all this water on the child and putting them in prison away from their parents. Barely even feeding them, I guess. So since most of the civil rights movement was, you know, shown on television or advertised in the papers, when people saw these things happening to these children, it did something to them. Your heart can only be cold for so long. Because sometimes when you see something happening to a child, you can't help but feel something. If you don't feel something, there's something very wrong with you, okay? Even out in nature, you see little babies like falling in the zoo and an animal's just comforting them. If a wild animal can comfort a child and know that a child is innocent, how can a racist person not see that? That's something to put on your mind. But at the end, you see this family, they made it through. They made it through the struggle. But the struggle still continues. I mean, how many times do I have to repeat this message? Not me. I'm just talking in general. How many times do we have to repeat this message that our children are children? How many times do our children have to fight for the basic needs in this world? They are human beings too. One of the photographs in my slideshow, somebody is holding a sign and it says, "Our children are not thugs," or "Black children are not thugs." Sometimes you literally have to say that to people. It's like in their mind, because it is so poisoned with racism, they literally make our children either seem like they're not a human being or seem as if they're decades older than they actually are. You know, making a 6-year-old a criminal. Even in Missouri, I think they passed this law, I don't know. But they said if a child is fighting in school, that's a felony. Just like, this is ridiculous. But hey, the children haven't given up yet. Even today, even though these children were from the 60s, you have children today still protesting for their basic rights. The little girl in, I think it was Africa, where they told her she couldn't wear her afro because it was a distraction. And she's like, I'm going to wear my hair. I was born with my hair. Children out protesting in Ferguson. Don't shoot me, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. This is a reality. This is a reality. Our children are targets. Honestly. Tamir Rice, Emmett Till, Jeremy Robinson, Vondera Myers, Michael Brown, all of them. Targets. That's why these children have been standing up. Because sometimes we as adults are too complacent. We're too afraid of losing stuff. Like, I'm going to lose my job. Oh no, I'm going to lose my status. You know what? You're about to lose your child. You're about to lose your child. Forget the status, forget the money, forget the fame, forget everything. Your child is the most important investment that you can ever make in your life. They are literally the future. They are going to be running the future. But you're worried about losing your materialistic things. That is the reason I love this book. That is why I love this book. It shows how fearless a child can be. We all think sometimes that a child is just vulnerable. They're sad. They're scared. They're really not. They're very powerful, powerful beings. And I don't know what happened to most of these children that were involved in this crusade. I don't know who they grew up to be. Maybe some of them stayed the same with that fire in their heart. Maybe some of them were like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm tired. I'm just going to do what I do and lay low. Who knows? But we all must have this fire in our heart. We all have to have that childlike faith, that childlike passion, and never quit, no matter what happens to us. If we are fighting for our human rights, it doesn't matter if we die fighting for our human rights, because somebody's about to suffer if we don't say anything. And that somebody is most likely the children. So yes, please read this book. It is an excellent, excellent book. I'm sure you will like it. I would call it a Martin Luther King holiday classic. And now for the slideshow. Thank you for watching this video and stay tuned for tomorrow. Bye-bye.
59 Dallas City Code, demonstrating and parading without a permit. Also violating a traffic judge injunction against parading.
Partimedlemmarna själva får bland annat vapen- och sjukvårdsutbildning.